Well, hello, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're dialing in from, and welcome. Just going to give it a second or two while we allow everybody to get logged in, either through the Zoom platform or if you're joining us on LinkedIn Live, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Just going to give it a couple of seconds and then we will be making a start to this live tour of the Spacestor London Design Studio and then shortly the New York Design Studio, and introducing you to one of our newest rep teams based in the Pennsylvania market, McKenna Co. So going to give it just a couple of minutes and we'll be getting going. Okay, well, I think we'll start. And again, welcome if you just joined us. My name's Alex Harvey and I'm VP of Sales here at Spacestor. And really excited to be presenting this very short 30-minute demo live to you, bringing you on a whistle-stop tour of the Spacestor London Design Studio and the Spacestor New York Design Studio. Let me tell you just a little bit of a background to Spacestor, and then I'll hand you over to our team in Philadelphia and the Pennsylvania market. Molly and Megan and Kate are on the call today. They're going to be introducing themselves. But if I give you a couple of seconds on the background to Spacestor before we introduce the rest of the speakers. So Spacestor are the creators of workplace furniture that's a blend of California cool and London design. And what that really means is those two influences are the core of what's shaped us into the company that we are today. So London design really speaks to our background, our heritage, if you like, for nearly 30 years, creating modular workplace furniture here in the market in the UK. And with a primary focus on workplace. And then more recently, around 10 years ago, we opened our first design center in the United States in California. And that had really been brought to us by our clients. We'd heard many of our clients saying to us something like, we want an office like Google, or something along those lines. And it was kind of cropping up too often for it to really be a coincidence. And so we ended up opening our first design center in California. And that's really given us the opportunity of working very closely with and engaging with some of the world's leading organizations. So both the tech firms out of Silicon Valley, of course, the likes of Google, Amazon and Facebook, but many other organizations. And we're very proud to work with these clients. And that has really helped Spacestor in the design and development of how we approach workplace furniture. And as part of our live tours today, we're going to be showing you some of the key pieces that we see are super relevant in the return to the office, in the post-COVID workplace, whatever you might like to call it. But that's a little bit about Spacestor. I'd like to introduce our team in the Pennsylvania market. So going to hand over to you, Megan, going to give us a quick introduction to the team.
Yep. Thank you, first of all, for everybody joining this live presentation from London and New York. Molly, Kate, and I are all here locally in Philadelphia supporting the region. We are thrilled and honored to be working with Spacestor and look forward to get started with the presentation, Alex.
Cool, that's great. Thanks very much, Megan. And we're also joined by Gordon MacDonald today, who's in our New York design studio. So we're going to be handing over to Gordon in a minute or two. But before we do that, let me give you a quick walk through some of the key areas and the key products in our London design studio. So as you will see, we've got a view out into the streets of London. You can probably see the occasional red London bus shooting past or black London taxi, just to give you a glimpse of the London street scene. But what we're really focusing on today is looking at some of the furniture pieces from Spacestor that, as I say, we see being super relevant in the return to the office and the post-COVID design of workplace. So some of the products I wanted to focus on, we've heard from many of our clients around some of the pain points they have or the challenges they have in implementing the workplace strategy that they are seeking to develop to enable the next generation of their workplaces and to enable, of course, their employees, their people, their teams to be the most effective that they can be, and to carry out the right kind of tasks and the tasks that they need to do to do the role that they're in. And what we've seen as a fairly widespread consensus with many of our clients is that if you're just sending emails, if you're just coming if you're just doing your kind of daily tasks, you don't necessarily need to be in the office. And the whole concept of the hybrid workplace has been gradually gathering momentum with many clients. Of course, every client has their own version of what the hybrid office looks like, what the hybrid workplace looks like. But what we've seen with many of our clients is an element of the hybrid workplace coming into their future workplace strategy. And then a big consideration starts to develop around, well, what are the furniture pieces? What's the design of the workplace needed to support that hybrid workplace? And we're going to take you through some of the products that we've certainly seen as being very relevant with many of the clients that Spacestor are working with in developing those hybrid workplaces. So first of all, I'd like to introduce you to Verandas. So Verandas is this product behind me. Now, Verandas is a very unique product that Spacestor launched during 2021. So we launched it right in the midst of the pandemic and had been in development for about 12 months prior to that. And really what the whole concept behind Verandas is that we have a modular plug and play meeting room, both an enclosed space or a semi-open space, but a modular plug and play meeting room that's future flexible. And really what we were seeking to do was decouple the meeting room, the traditional built meeting room, from the built environment. So what we've done is taken the entire meeting room environment, if you like, the walls, the ceiling, the doors, the entire environment itself, but not just the physical structure, but also the lighting, the ventilation. And we've taken that entire, if you like, that kit of parts and turned that into a modular furniture piece that can be not just assembled and disassembled, but it can also be reconfigured. So we could take this entire configuration and we could actually maybe move it to a different location, but then when we rebuild it, it could be in a different configuration. So at the moment, we've got an enclosed 3 or 4 person meeting room. We've got this touchdown space and then a kind of a semi-open collaborative space with a curtain across the front of it there. But we could reconfigure that into something completely different in the future. So Verandas is certainly proving to be a really popular conversation piece with many of the clients that Spacestor are working with. And again, we'd love to invite you to discuss the projects you're working on, maybe the projects where you see a product like this may be of relevance. And as we're going through today, we'd also love to invite you to use the Q&A box to ask any questions that you may have, either through Zoom, through the Q&A chat box at the bottom of the screen, or if you're on LinkedIn live stream, you can use the chat there. So moving on from Verandas onto another product, the Spacestor Hot Locker Forte product. Now, modular workplace lockers, of course, have been around for many years. There's nothing new there. But what we've seen is a big increase with many of the clients Spacestor are working with in the use of how lockers can support their workplace strategy, and particularly this whole hybrid or flexible working strategy where maybe you're not necessarily based in the office all the time, firstly, but also when you're in the office, you wouldn't necessarily have your own desk or your own workstation. And what that means is that there's kind of a twofold impact to that. It means that firstly, all the things that you would have left on your desk previously, you now no longer have a secure place to store those. So your keyboard and mouse, maybe your charging cables, maybe your coffee mug, whatever it happens to be, there's usually something that you would have left on your desk and you're not necessarily going to want to take home with you whenever you've come into the office for the day. So that's the first angle. And then the second angle is when you're coming into the office, when you've got a requirement to be in the office, maybe for a team meeting or for some kind of presentation or something like that. So when you're coming into the office, there's always going to be something that you're bringing with you, whether it's a gym bag or a cycle helmet or some jogging shoes, or whatever that happens to be, maybe some shopping you picked up on the way in. Again, you won't necessarily have a desk where you can store that, and previously you probably would have just put that on or under your desk. So somewhere secure to store all those pieces is really important. And what we've seen with many of our clients is they're using technology-based locker solutions, which means that they're using an RFID card, so this kind of RFID card, or maybe an app on their smartphone, so that they are accessing, claiming, and opening, and sometimes even pre-booking those lockers using technology, which means they're getting rid of the keys, they're getting rid of the physical keys, which can become a real nightmare to manage if you're a facilities manager, or maybe a security manager in an organization with hundreds and sometimes thousands of lockers. Key management can almost become a full-time job for somebody, and I've personally witnessed this with some of our clients. So we've certainly seen many of our clients look towards personal storage as an important supporting piece of furniture in that hybrid workplace strategy, but also then taking that a bit further by looking at how technology can make this integrate more seamlessly with the ways of working. Now, as you'll see here, if I just shift the camera around a little tad. So as you'll see here, we've got a number of different locker configurations here. We've got these larger lockers, we've got these smaller lockers, and with all of the Spacestor Hot Locker Forte family, you've got a huge amount of customization around the size of the locker. So both the width, the height, and also the depth can be customized to specific requirements that maybe you or your clients have around, storing specific items. For some clients, it might be a flight case. For some clients, and this is an interesting one that's cropped up quite a few times in the last 12 months, is storing a keyboard and mouse within the locker front to back, because what they're saying is that people won't have their own desk, so they'll be sharing a desk with whoever it was, but they're not necessarily comfortable sharing the keyboard and mouse with whoever the previous desk user was. So they'll have their own keyboard and mouse, which will be stored in the locker when they're away from the office. So there's a lot of customization around the size, and then of course there's a lot of customization around the look and feel of these lockers as well. So here we've got them in this particular kind of bleached timber look, which fits with the Spacestor London Design Centre look and feel. That could be very different for the next client and for the culture and brand of your organization or for the client you're working with. And of course, we're able to customize that whole look and feel massively. And then the final piece, which is also regularly customized and often tweaked and changed to suit specific client strategy, is the locking technology. And this is really where the RFID technology, an app on your smartphone, comes in, as we were just discussing earlier. So with this locker system, it's a really simple system to use. So I just touch the door to open it. I've actually got some of my stuff already in this locker. One thing I wanted to show you was we've also got I don't know if you can see, we've also got a USB charging cable. So this is actually charging my smartphone on this rather long USB cable. But I can touch the locker to put my stuff inside. A little light comes on. So that means I've got great access and visibility within the locker. And then I just push the locker to close it and present my RFID card, and you'll hear that little beep. And then hopefully you can see that the LED here has changed from the green LED, meaning the locker's available, to a red LED, meaning the locker is now in use. So I'll just bring the camera a bit closer, maybe that'll be a bit more obvious. So you can see there's a really clear kind of green-red LED visibility showing you which lockers are available, which ones are in use. So that really helps with if a client, for example, is wanting to go down the route of not necessarily having assigned lockers, but lockers that people just come along and kind of free issue, help themselves to an available locker. Well, the system also knows that I already have a locker now with this card. So if I was to start to try and claim this lock, you'll see that that's flashing red on me. That's not allowing me to claim a second locker. So there's a lot of smart technology built into this. And then on the back end, you've got a piece of software which gives you the ability to see who's using the lockers and when, to look at the high level statistics around how many of the lockers are in use at any particular moment in time. So loads of conversations around personal storage and lockers and how they can support the workplaces of the future. And of course, to gain access again, I've just presented my card and opened the locker. So that's the Spacestor Hot Locker Forte system. Again, love to discuss that with you if that's something which you feel is relevant for some of the projects you're working on. And then the final product I wanted to look at today in the London Design Centre is the Residence Connect. So this is really a modular plug and play acoustic video room. So we were approached by one of the large tech firms actually towards the end of 2019, and they were seeing a number of trends emerging on the horizon for their workspaces, which were particularly around an increased use of video collaboration, an increased focus on diversity and inclusivity, and an increased focus on sustainability. And with this product here, we've really met all of those three, if you like, those core areas that have become hugely important with many of our clients, both during COVID, but as the development of the hybrid workplace has really accelerated. So this is a product that was designed from the ground up as a video environment, not a phone environment. So many of the modular booths that you may have seen in the past are really designed as a phone booth, and this is very much designed as a video booth. And what I'll do is I'll bring the camera in a bit closer so you can see the way the technology is incorporated. But first of all, I just wanted to show you that when I'm in the pod, when I'm in this video booth, I'm sitting on a ergonomic task chair. So you can see I'm comfortably seated, which for a video meeting is really important. It means that, if I'm in this video meeting for maybe 2 to 3 hours, which is often the case, I'm actually ergonomically supported on this task chair. And then within the video environment, so of course the screen itself, that's not something that Spacestor provide. That's usually client provided, but the screen itself is fully integrated, including things like the lighting, so we can actually adjust the lighting to provide the best video experience for every user, no matter what their skin color or skin tone is. We can adjust the ventilation. We can actually height adjust the table itself, and also independently adjust the monitor so that I can actually make sure the table's at the correct level for me, but also that I'm framed correctly within that video window. And then we also finally have and this is a really important conversation piece with many of our clients, we have a ADA, a wheelchair accessible version of the same pod, which has a powered access door. It's got a level step-free access. So you've got the ability to have the exact same video pod for wheelchair users and to give them a great, if you like, a great user experience, but also the same environment as all other users have. So this is very much part of the whole universal design conversation. So those are some of the products I wanted to walk you through today. I could keep going, but what I'm going to do is take you on a very short flight to our New York design studio, where I'm going to hand you over to Gordon MacDonald, who's going to take us through a few products there. So over to you, Gordon.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Can you hear me all right?
Perfect. Yeah, doing great. I can hear you.
Fantastic. Well, welcome to the New York Design Studio, and welcome to McKenna Co. Obviously passionate about the Philadelphia market. I mean, it's where I'm from. But here in our New York Design Studio, I want to touch on a few products that we see very relevant in today's workplace. So the first one is the product behind me, which is our bleachers. And this is really, when we look at products at Spacestor, we look at, are they able to be changed by a user? Are they able to be changed by a facilities management team? Are they able to be, or do they require, a furniture installation contractor to come in and make a change? And the bleachers are one of those products that the users themselves can hack. They can change it up. They can have a different setting, whether we're in a scrum space or whether we're in a space where they just have a quiet sit down, catch up with a colleague in the office. So the way the bleachers work, very much like a Lego system. So you got your rubber feet that clip together, and then we'll just go ahead and put that up there. And we'll bring in a double seat pad, and that connects it all together. So again, creating different configurations, different styles, and then also you have pieces, the single pad, the double height, a cubby height. So just a fun way to bring in various pieces of seating, but again, allowing those users to hack those spaces themselves. So while we're over in this corner, I wanted to touch on another product, which is our railway carriage. Just going to swing you around here. So this is actually the back side of the railway carriage. And one of the things that I love about the Spacestor product family is we have a holistic approach to our product. So in this particular case, we have a whiteboard with a table on the back side, which is being used with the scrum space of the bleachers. And we really take a 360-degree view of our product, make sure that it can be used in a very functional way. So just want to put that out while we're back over here, and we're going to swing around and just stop by the one more phone pod. So as Alex mentioned, we have the Residence Connect, which does a fantastic use case for a video pod. This is the Residence Max, which is part of that family. However, it's designed more for a phone call. It's a lot more of an inclusive design, does not have a floor in it, it sits directly on whatever the substrate is below. You have a height adjustable desk. as well as adjustable lighting and ventilation. So it gives a user a much more personalized experience. They can come in for a half an hour, take that phone call, adjust the height. They can sit on a perch or stand, adjust the height of that table, adjust the lighting to please whatever they may be doing, and then also adjust the ventilation. Again, the design of the product is meant to be much more inclusive. Obviously, we have the ADA version of the Residence Connect, but the Max gives you much greater flexibility than just a fixed height floor foam pod. Worth noting that both these products, the Residence Max and the Residence Connect, are UL approved. So this makes it much easier to get approved for fire code here in the States. Moving on to the railway carriages. So this is our 4-person railway carriage with the back. You still hearing me, Alex?
Yep, hearing you fine, yeah.
Good. So this is the 4-person railway carriage with the back. The neat thing about railway carriages is they're designed in place of where you might have previously put millwork. So it allowed the users to have an open space, but still with some of that acoustical privacy, have a one-on-one meeting, sit down, have their lunch with a colleague. Also, it's a great way to influence different design and color within a space. Here at Spacestor, we've got quite a few different variations of this. This is our flat roof with an attic interior. We can do a flat roof with a flat roof and then a pitch roof booth. This particular booth has some IT, so it's got a video monitor, HDMI plug-in, power plug-in. The light comes on with a motion sensor. So again, one of those pieces that allows you to break up a space, create some division, but still also have a collaborative space for your employees. And that is our 2-person backless pod. So again, this product, we use Chimera Maharam fabrics. There are other fabrics out there that we use, but again, a great way to influence some color and branding within the space. Now moving on to the Palisades range, I wanted to just touch on this particular piece. A little hard to see in a video, but this is actually our standard Palisades product, which is our round 2 product on top of our Hot Locker Go. So one of the neat things about Palisades is it incorporates very well with other pieces of our products like the lockers, the media store, etc. So perfect way to divide up a room for some zone division. And as Alex mentioned, those were Hot Locker Agile that he showed you. This is more of your standard digital combination locker. So really nice product where you need to be able to incorporate various pieces to create that look and feel and aesthetic throughout a space. Now I bring you to the courtyard here in our design center. So one of the things that we're seeing, especially as we go back into the office, is ways to divide up spaces without putting up demising walls, without having to go out for that permitting and construction documents, ways to create different zones and collaborative areas. Palisades is a perfect piece for that. So this particular one has got a 2D linear piece here, goes into the 3D grid system, and is completely freestanding. We like to call it architecture within architecture. So it allows the user to create zones, create hubs throughout the space. You can still see, you can still hear, but also you can add in elements like the acoustic panels, the whiteboard, planter boxes, biophilia, and really bring that branding together within the space. It's worth noting, if I can click my camera up here, we actually mounted the Palisades 2 on the ceiling here and have done some very nice projects since then over like cafe areas, coffee areas where we've actually mounted this product. So the Palisades 2 is a very versatile product. So I think that does it for me, Alex, for the product that we have here. Love to have you in the New York Design Center anytime. Very short train ride up from Philly. So I'll hand it over now to Megan to give us a wrap up.
Thank you, Alex and Gordon. That was a wonderful presentation from both showrooms. If anybody has any questions in the last 5 minutes for Alex or Gordon on product or specifications or how to contact us, please put it in the chat box and we would be glad to answer anything on your mind.
Just while everyone's limbering up with their keyboard and questions, Megan, perhaps you could share your contact details or your website or your email address. How can somebody get in touch with you if they've got some questions following the presentation today?
Sure. Feel free to contact Molly, Kate, or I at our first name. So it would be Megan at McKenna-co.com or Kate at McKenna-co.com. And again, Molly at McKenna-co.com. Or you can text any of us or give us a call. And my phone number is 215-740-3403. And Molly will put that up in the chat box. And then we'll be
cool.
glad
Thanks,
to help
Megan.
you again. Sure.
Maybe worth just while we're waiting for any questions to come through, one of the questions that often comes up in this type of conversation where we're kind of having an initial conversation around the different products we have is, well, what about sprinklers? What about permitting? How do the Spacestor products fit into fire code? Gordon, would you be able to share some local experience and insights around how either the semi-open booths like the railway carriage or the enclosed booths like the two residence products we look at, how they address that question?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Alex. So here specifically on the East Coast, we normally do need sprinklers put in the product, especially where there's a soffit above the product. However, because specifically to the Residence Connects and Residence Max, they're UL approved, that has not been the case when they're just freestanding out in a room. There are certain jurisdictions, I know in California, the sprinkler is required. So that's going to vary. But that being said, we have accommodated it, and it certainly is something that we look out for our clients. So, you know, when we do them in the railway carriage, we can actually do them in the factory, or if there's kind of an undetermined position where they're going to be at in the field, we'll actually field cut those if a sprinkler is required. As I said, generally it's where a soffit is brought down to the top of the product.
That's cool, thanks. And again, another question which seems to come up quite often. So clearly Spacestor originally were a UK company. Where's the product manufactured is a question that often comes up. So maybe you could share some insights around that as well, Gordon.
Absolutely. So here in the United States, we've been manufacturing over here for 10 years. Started out in Los Angeles, where our head office is, and then we also manufacture in Philadelphia. So that really helps, especially with lead time constraints. That also helps with lead certification. A lot of times they want source of manufacturing within 600 miles of the project. So that helps when we're doing East Coast projects. And then obviously our Hemel Hempstead location in the UK is where a majority of our manufacturing for Europe is done. So great resource within the US here. And I know that's been a challenge for everybody currently, especially with lead times and logistics. So.
Cool. And just in the last couple of minutes, any comments around projects that we've done in the Philly market or in the Pennsylvania market? I know you've had a good set of experience there, haven't you? We've got some installations around the city, I guess.
Yeah, we've done some fantastic projects throughout the Philadelphia market. Comcast being one of our larger clients in Philadelphia. We've done a lot of the locker projects with them, as well as Independence Blue Cross. We've done projects with Vanguard. So, you know, Philadelphia, we've got quite a breadth of projects that we've done throughout the city and the surrounding areas. And it's one of the things where I think being able to deliver this product locally and also giving designers that ability, the resource in, you know, a company like McKenna Co, it will give them the ability to actually quote this product design it. And I think, please do check out the customizers on our website. They just make specifying a lot easier for you.
Perfect. Good. Thanks very much. And I think that brings us pretty much to time. Any final thoughts to share, Megan, before we wrap up?
No, just thank you again. And we are here to help and support and are very excited to be the local representatives for Spacestor. So thank you.
Great. Thanks you all for joining.
Bye.